Hello YouTube. A couple of years ago this was just sand. There was nothing there, and then I started collecting little twigs and branches, and I added some wood chips that I had bought in the store before I had my shredder, and things are paying off. It is a little bit warmer and small stuff is starting to pop up, but over there is something that caught me by surprise. Little mushrooms. So there is definitely something happening in the soil. Something positive. I'm very happy with that. And in my large planter I also have a couple of mushrooms growing. But I'll show you that later. It is a little bit warmer, and over here a few seeds are starting to pop up, and I see other stuff popping up over there, so things are starting to grow again. But man, it was cold. This hazelnut tree has all its leaves in a couple of days' time. The fern has new branches and leaves. And here's something popping up. It's growing a lot faster now. Flowers starting to grow. The rose is doing well. It's about to pop open. This one. This one. Fish are active again. This one is doing really good. This one not so much. I pulled that one out because because I was curious to see if something was happening. When I bought these, I was not expecting them to be this shape, and I had no idea what was up or down, how to plant them. But now I do, because I have the same one over here. in the middle, and there seems to be something growing from the top. So something is happening. I pulled out some algae because it was getting too much. The pond was a little bit upset by the cold weather. Well, the microorganisms. A couple of weeks ago we had some really warm days for the time of the year. So then everything starts to wake up and to become active. So it creates a lot of nutrients. And then after that it cooled down really bad. I was not expecting that after the record-breaking warm weather that we had. And then everything goes dormant because it is way too cold. So I think that's causing the algae. And then the fish stop eating as well. There's a lot of small fish in there. I never can film them because they're simply too small, you can see it. But they stop eating when it is too cold. But they have already eaten, so the waste products from that is in the water, but nothing happens with it. So then the algae take advantage of that. At least that's what I like to believe. And on top of that, we had a lot of rain. It was really wearing me down. And that is affecting the water as well, because we have a lot of air pollution from the farming that we have in this region. There's a lot of nitrogen pollution. We have too much of it. And when it rains, it ends up in my pond. But when it is cold, and with all that nitrogen, yeah, nothing happens with it. So there we go again. The algae will benefit from it. So now I hope that the temperature is not going down too drastically anymore. And I added some clay for the water hardness. That should also keep the algae in check. And now I hope that the fish can keep up with the algae growth, if there is any. Because now they start to eat again, although the water temperature is not optimal for them to eat, but I suppose that they know best when they can eat. And let's hope that it stays a little bit clear. It's looking a lot better. that's for sure. Okay, it is all about the microorganisms and the fact that they do not like change. They do not like change of any kind. I have my system. I'm doing this for about 15 years. This system that I am adjusting at the moment, I have for about 7 years. And from my experience, any type of sudden change, that can be heat, that can be oxygen levels, that can be pH values, that can be CO2 levels, any drastic type of change upsets the microorganisms and they go dormant, and then the plants stop growing and producing fruit. And that is not only true in the water, that is also true on the land. And the mulch helps to prevent those changes in the soil that microorganisms do not like. For example, it acts as a blanket and it keeps the heat out of the soil, because the wood is a very good insulator. The same thing when you have a lot of leaves, dry leaves on top of your soil. That is a very good insulator. But it helps also to protect the microorganisms against UV light. That's another thing that they really do not like. In fact, it kills them. So that's another thing that the mulch does. And it keeps the moisture levels pretty much the same. So the mulch does a lot of things, a lot more than I just mentioned, to keep the microorganisms happy. When the microorganisms are happy, they can convert nitrogen from the air into a plant available nutrient, and they can convert biomass into plant available nutrients. And other animals, small insects, break down the wood, and the microorganisms break down the waste material from those insects. But that can only happen if they have a nice habitat where the temperature is under control, the moisture levels, the UV light is gone. And when they have a lot of surface area, that's another important factor. They need a place to live. They don't live just in the sand. They need something. And that is another thing what the wood does. And what I like about all these twigs and branches is that it mimics a forest floor. When you go to a forest, a dry forest, not a wetland situation, but just a normal forest, and you go off the track, the first thing that you see and here is twigs, a lot of twigs on the floor. So that is what I'm trying to replicate. And now, for the first time, I see the mushrooms. And I'm happy with that. It works, but it takes time. Those microorganisms need time, and it is a whole process of different organisms that follow up on each other, and that just needs time. They need to grow in population, and it needs to mature. And it is nice to know all the names from the different microorganisms, and at what temperature they operate, and what they prefer to have in their habitat. You can do that, you can read about that, and that is very interesting to learn about. But at the same thing, that makes things very complicated. Do you have to know all that? Do you need to know to be able to mention what name the microorganism has? What I say is, whatever microorganism you have in your garden, it doesn't like change. And the way you can prevent that the habitat is changing is by creating a blanket preferable of wood chips and leaves or cardboard, but at least some woody material. Well, that's enough for today, folks. It is all about the microorganisms. They don't like change, regardless what name they have. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.